I, 42 male, am permanently paralyzed and I don't know if I should allow my wife, 42 female, to have sex with a stranger, 24 male. I've been paralyzed for 3 years now. I was in a serious car accident during the summer of 2017. The tragic news came afterwards that I had been paralyzed permanently. I was in constant shock the first period, but thanks to my wife and my 2 daughters, I felt much better. I sit in a wheelchair and receive help and different types of services around the clock. My wife has taken care of me for these 3 years nonstop. I was suffering from severe depression and drinking problems, but I got through it with her help and she comforted and supported me all the time. My wife is my best friend, my other half and the love of my life. She is the most beautiful and attractive woman I have ever met. We are both of Lebanese origin and actually met during high school. We fell in love and got married immediately after graduating, and then we moved to San Diego, California to start a life here together. In the US, she received lots of offers from fashion companies and the beauty industry but declined everything because she studied law. She eventually became a lawyer and has been amazing. Since a young age, we have both been very sexually active and had a really good sex life, before my car accident, and have always had a good relationship. Since the accident, of course, we haven't been able to have intercourse, and we have talked about it from time to time. She's never given the impression that she's feeling bad because we can no longer have it, but I notice it when I look at her. She is a much more tired person, often stressed and much more aggressive than usual. All this has made me think about what the future will look like. I am a jealous but at the same time realistic man. We are still young, and my wife is a human being as well. I have no feeling and have no desire. On the other hand, she's completely healthy and feels the desire for sex. She has masturbated, used sexual objects, but it's not enough and I can see it clearly. I talked to her last week about how she felt and I asked her to be completely honest with me. She hugged me and cried. After our conversation, I learned that she really needed to have intercourse, that she had tried her best for the past 3 years, but that she had a hard time seeing herself remain sexless for the rest of her life. This was sensitive and difficult to handle, so we asked our female neighbor of 12 years for help and recommendations. The only alternative was that my wife would have to meet a man with whom she would only have a sexual relationship. And that was exactly what our neighbor suggested.
The neighbor suggested looking for a person on dating sites and similar platforms, but I refused.
I didn't want my wife to meet someone who lived outside the city and I wanted her to only meet one person and not more. The neighbor finally suggested her former colleague's son. He's just 24, typical all-American guy, and a soldier who recently returned from tours in Iraq. My wife and I got to see pictures of him. My wife blushed and was emotional. Our neighbor said she could arrange everything, talk to the guy and his mother and arrange a meeting between him, my wife and me to discuss rules and boundaries. My wife hugged me and said the decision is mine. I never thought we would end up in such a situation, but I know she needs it. After all, I'm still unsure if I should go ahead with this. What should I do with this situation? Should I proceed with the proposal? And now for some comments. It's generally good relationship advice to not agree to something you're not 100% comfortable with. You know the answer to that. If this is what you choose to do, don't use the neighbor's son. Look into swingers groups in your area. Look for a man in a committed relationship, closer to both your ages, who is looking for a regular play partner. Utilizing the services of a young stud who's been almost pimped by his mom would not be wise. I would look into male prostitutes, this way you can be sure it's completely professional and nothing more than sex. This is a horrible idea and will most likely destroy your marriage if you are not 100% on board with it. So this 24-year-old man is fine to have his mother involved and spoken to about the possibility of him having a sexual relationship with someone? That's not normal. The amount of people completely dismissing her need for sex is ridiculous. It's like she's just supposed to live the life of a spinster and be content with that when that's not what she signed up for. Obviously he isn't interested in her sexual pleasure since he's dismissed any other suggestions. I'm sure if this were a man, there would be a ton of comments about incompatibility and a person's need for sexual satisfaction in a relationship. Have you talked to a doctor or anyone about sex since the accident? I don't want to make assumptions, but I know some people will hear paralyzed and assume that also means no more sex, so they try not to think about it. But from what a quick Google search shows, 80% of men with SCIs and paralysis can still get an erection and their sex drive returns. A quick read explains being open to exploring your body's new triggers for arousal and such. I was wondering if you have done any research into this.